Coming up on Tech News today, it's Thanksgiving here in the U.S., which means we're not actually here, but don't let that blow the mirage. We're here, and we're reading your emails and answering your voicemails in our incoming special next.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Bandwidth for Tech News Today is provided by Cachefly at CACHEFLY.com.
This is Tech News Today for Thursday, November 24th, 2011. Tech News Today is brought to you by Ford, featuring available Sync with My Ford Touch. Sync with My Ford Touch gets you to your destination with integrated turn-by-turn directions and directional arrows displayed on screen. Check it out in the new 2012 Ford Focus and at Ford.com/technology. Welcome to Tech News Today. I'm Tom Merritt.
I'm Sarah Lane.
I'm Iyaz Akhtar.
And I'm Jason Howell.
And this is the show where we read and respond to your email and voicemail. It's our incoming special. Woo! Can you put applause right there?
Oh, I will remember to insert that.
As if we have this huge live audience. So it is Thanksgiving, which means we're actually not in the office. We are at home.
We are holograms.
Alone. Well, in my case, anyway. No, here in the United States, day off, and tomorrow a day off. But we went the extra mile and relied on you to give us content for a special episode.
Just something we thought would be the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Help us make the show. Well, this is actually having a show that's entirely crowdsourced, really, whether it's questions or comments or ideas, or we've never actually done that for an entire show before.
I know, this is going to be fun.
It's a fun idea.
It's our way of giving thanks to you. I just made that up. We'd not really thought about that.
Well, we are thanking them, because without them, we would not have a show to do.
That is absolutely true.
We'd have to guess what news would show up on Thursday.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. I'm assigning the voicemails and emails as we speak.
All right.
Who's going to read what? And we will get to as many as we possibly can. We apologize if you sent us one and we don't get to it, but it is a shorter episode because we're trying to pack these in before we get going. We'll start off with a voicemail. This one comes from Preston, who asks us about childhood dreams.
Oh.
Preston.
Hey, TNT crew, this is Preston in Silicon Valley, and you said to call up and ask you anything, so here it goes. When I was a kid, I never thought I'd become a tech geek working in the IT business, but that's what I do for a living now. And I was just wondering, when you were a kid, what did 6-year-old you want to be when you grew up? Thanks and love the show.
6-year-old Sarah Lane. What do you want to be when you grow up?
I wanted to be an actress. It's true.
And
now,
you are.
Well, in a weird way, I didn't realize. When you're really young, you have dreams. I never actually wanted to play anybody else. I just like talking. So it took me a while to get to this point, but I actually think that in a roundabout way, I'm doing exactly what I wanted to do. I just didn't know it at the time.
Iyaz Akhtar.
At 6, comic book artist. That's what I was going to do. I used to draw.
I'm sorry. We've disappointed 6-year-old Iyaz Akhtar.
Well, that was an old dream. I can still draw.
That's funny. Like, when I was 6, I actually have a book that my mom would make me fill out every year, like, I think around New Year's. Who are your friends in school? Who's your favorite teacher? What's your favorite subject? What do you want to be when you grow up? I should go look and find out what was 1976, but it was either Ranger, because I was into the Ranger Rick magazine, baseball player, or teacher. Those were, when I was 6, those were the professions I admired.
You could say that you're a bit of a teacher now.
You could say that you're a bit of a Ranger.
You are obviously a pro baseball player.
If you play for the Rangers,
you've done everything.
While being a teacher,
I
be a
could
pitching
teach
coach.
people to play baseball for the Rangers.
Be a pitching coach on the Texas Rangers.
Done and done.
All.
6 is early. I didn't really
exactly.
have, it's like what I thought I wanted to do at 6. I mean, I probably only had 5 professions I could count on my hand at 6. It's a little different when you get into like middle school.
My teachers had already identified that I talked too much in class at age 6.
Oh, mine too. Mine too.
That was the only ding that I got.
That was every parent-teacher conference was how Sarah needs to just pipe down a little bit more.
I was an
here.
introvert for a couple of years, and that kind of slowly went away.
Okay. Jason, what about you?
It's hard to remember 6 years old and exactly what I thought then. I know at some point I wanted to be Superman.
Well,
You've done that.
I mean, of course you're not
I
Superman.
wanted to, and that totally never happened. But I also wanted to be an astronaut when I was a kid. So I have to
Astronaut
imagine
was on-
at that
on
point
one
I
of
was,
mine.
all
Those are
about
related.
astronaut.
Yeah.
You know, they're taking resumes right now.
I saw
finally
that.
realize
And
you're doing
6-year-old me applied. So
and they told you you're too young.
yeah, right.
And also not 6 years old.
Check back, kid.
All right, let's go to an email, Sarah. You've got the first email for us to lead off there.
Ricky wants to know, why are non-Apple products graded on a curve? He has another question. Do you believe there's a tech pundit echo chamber? And if so, what do you try to do to avoid it? What does he mean graded on a curve? To go back to the first non-Apple product question.
Yeah, I reduced what he had written for time, but he basically said Apple products seem to get criticized more often. I don't know if that's true. Usually you'll hear people say Apple products are loved by the tech pundits and are given a pass, and other people say this. It all depends on which side you're on.
I think he was talking about how people were trying. He was saying bending over backwards to not compare the Kindle to the iPad. That was one of the things I think he was talking about grading on the curve, if I remember the email
Right, but it goes back and forth. Other people say there's too much comparing the iPad to the Kindle. The reason you'll see people bending over backwards not to compare the Kindle to the iPad is because you have so many people criticizing them for comparing the Kindle to the iPad. I like the second question, which is how do you avoid the echo chamber? Because there definitely is a tech pundit echo chamber.
Absolutely. It's very hard to avoid it, especially when you're talking about a lot of these stories on a daily basis, as we are. I mean, some of the stuff, we might chuckle and say, oh, gosh, look at this, this company's buying this company type of a thing. But we report on it because it's news. I think what I try to do is, there are people who write about stuff that I trust more than others.
Yep.
And I get to know, kind of my 10 go-tos. If there's a story about eBay buying Hunch. Well, everyone's going to talk about it, but there are a few trusted sources. I really want to know what their opinions are, and it gives me more of a perspective on what it all means. So that's very helpful for me.
I've been doing this for 6 years, over 6 years now, this type of show between Buzz Out Loud and Tech News Today, and I've developed a system whereby I have a list of trusted sources for news, things like Ars Technica and CNET and BBC News, that I know most of the time don't lead me astray. I look at my RSS feeds and look at what they're talking about first. Then I look at Google News to see what's getting linked to, what's getting discussed, what's important to the blogosphere out there. Then I look at Tech Meme to see what's hyped. What's just like
That's exactly what Tech
what's
Meme
the
is.
thing we have to acknowledge, even though we may not think it's important, but it's just getting so much talk that we want to address it and say, well, here's what's really true about it. Then I look now at Reddit and say, well, what is our audience saying we want to hear about? What are the things they think are important? And then combine that with the feedback we get from the chat room and the email and the voicemail, and then just meeting people in person and saying, hey, what do you like about the show? What don't you like about the show? And trying to build in all these sort of checks and balances so that we aren't just echoing everything, but we're also reporting on things that maybe I don't think are that interesting, but the majority of the audience either will think is interesting or will want to hear about.
That happens with Ion a lot when I go, okay, what do you guys think? And the co-hosts of Ion aren't doing the tech news every day. So when I pitch a story like touchpads are for sale again, they're like, why does this matter again? It's this nice reality check to go, oh, yeah, well, maybe this is, you sometimes get stuck in a little bubble. You keep hearing the same things over and over again. But it's always nice to ask either my wife or my co-hosts, like, hey, what do you guys think of these stories in general? Do they even matter anymore?
Right.
All right, we got another voicemail. Set us up the bomb.
We have Mark. He wants to find a sling catcher replacement.
Hey, guys. This is Mark Kidd calling from Racine, Wisconsin. Hey, Jason. Love the show.
Hi.
My wife and I listen all the time. Hey, I have a question about one of your sponsors, Slingbox. I use them all the time to sling to my iPad. But they used to make something that was called the Sling Catcher. And I recently went to get one of these recently, and found out that they're very hard to get a hold of now. They stopped making them, apparently, I guess due to pressures from the cable and phone companies. But anyway, do you guys have any suggestions on what I could use as a sling catcher to be able to sling to another TV in the house? Any ideas you have would be much appreciated. Take care.
Now, I was intrigued about this. I mean, can you use the iPad in conjunction with an Apple TV to AirPlay over Slingbox content?
Well, you wouldn't need to use Slingbox. Well,
You could.
Because he wants a sling catcher. I'm trying to figure out, because that
I
device no
see.
longer exists. The first thing I think of is an HTPC, which is a little bit overkill, home theater PC, to get just Slingbox, the application running. But with
So
Slingcatcher
if you're
being
running your Slingbox app on your iPad, could you AirPlay it to your TV through Apple TV? Is what you're asking?
Yeah, I'm wondering. Is that an option?
Or with someone else's? If you're at someone else's house, because obviously if you're in the same room with your Slingbox, you wouldn't need it.
Slingcatcher took television that was on or video that was on your screen and put it on the TV. So it wouldn't have to be Slingbox stuff. It's Hulu or a video or things like that. I have a Slingcatcher as well. So yeah, you could use Slingbox video on Slingcatcher to put it back on the TV. But if you're putting it on the TV, you've probably got Slingbox already. So it's a little bit of a recursive.
Well, what if if I go over to your house and I've got my Slingbox all set up with some sort of a channel that you don't have access to?
Well, then I have to bring my Slingcatcher to your house.
But I'm at your house and you have the Slingcatcher.
And I want to take your Slingbox because you live in New York and your football game isn't blacked out. Yeah, I mean, the easiest thing to do is just hook up the TV to the computer, right? Using some kind of HDMI cable or some such thing. I don't know if there's an easy. I think Orb would be another way. Run Orb, and again, but you have to have something connected to the television. So instead of buying a Slingcatcher to do it, I would say in off cases, just plug it in.
And there's always, I always go back to HTPC. If you want the most options, that's the way to go. I mean, you can get one for about a couple $100 if you're willing to try that out. It's a little bit more involved, but it's
so
fun.
You picked a voicemail we didn't have an answer to, essentially.
Yeah.
Okay. If anybody in the chat room has got a good answer for this,
they said that Sling
know.
Player on iPad can't use AirPlay.
Yeah, that makes sense. It probably wouldn't. All right, Chris J. wrote, why is Tom always such a stick in the mud at the end during the outro of the show? Jason, Iyaz, and Sarah usually do a funny little dance or something amusing, but Tom always looks straight down, no smile, no discernible toe tapping. How could you tell? Nothing.
Well, it's not discernible anyway.
Right.
It might be. And now is your chance to let Chris J know if actually you're really jamming under the desk.
Are you doing a river dance just below the table?
No, I'm not. You know what I'm doing at the end of the show? I am duplicating the template for the next episode, and probably that's renaming the day. I'm setting up stuff for the next show.
Yeah, well, it's also become this thing where you don't dance on purpose.
Part of it has become a joke too, but really, it used to be that we would play a little video or something, or we would show the spy cam of the, and so I got used to. We're not showing anything.
Yeah, when we said goodbye, you were off.
And so it's become where Jason now shows everybody dancing, and then for comedic effect, shows me not dancing. But to be honest, I just don't care.
Right. I don't see you as a big, cut a rug guy.
No, I'm not.
I'm just going to go out on a limb there.
Yeah.
I've got him right. Okay, next email from, we don't know who. It's from Anonymous. Oh, no, it's from Marcus in Michigan. He just said his name in a different place. He's also known as Ending Pop in Chat. Questions directed at Jason and even perhaps Eileen, who is not here right now, as producers at TWiT. Although we're all kind of producers, so maybe it'll apply to everybody. What's it like dealing with the talent? Does Leo always babble incoherently just off mic? I think you know the answer to that. Or is it that only when TNT records? Does Tom insist that you call him King Thomas in meetings? Does Iyaz lock himself in his dressing room until you reassure him that he's pretty? Is Chad scalded daily by hot coffee that's just not up to Sarah's exacting standards? So anyway, I love the show. I do request more Patrick Beja, more Terpster, more Will Harris. Basically, I demand more Europeans.
Jason?
What's it like dealing with?
These guys they're prima donnas, so it's a challenge every single day. No, not really.
Just getting through?
No. I mean, you guys are incredibly easy to produce with /4.
See, he's going to say that because we're standing right here.
We're staring right
at him. Yeah, you should ask me on a different show where they're not all looking at me as I say this.
Yeah,
no, but you really are.
We're easy, right, Jason?
Chad has an answer.
Right, Jason?
I'm sorry, I forgot your water.
Thank you.
It's the exact temperature you wanted.
Perfect.
Chad, thank you so much.
I'm so sorry I forgot.
Next time I'd like mint rather than vanilla.
And if you forget again, I'm going to put a needle in your eye. Now get out of here.
There you go.
Yeah, see, that's why it's easy for me because Chad's around.
Because Chad takes care of it.
Yeah, he takes
ice.
care of it all.
This episode of
No,
Tech
we're
News
easy.
Today is brought to you by Ford, featuring Sync with My Ford Touch. Sync is the in-car communications, entertainment, and connectivity system that's voice-activated to help you keep your hands on the wheel and your eyes on the road. One of the great features of Sync is Sync Services. Sync Services give you audible turn-by-turn directions to where you want to go and displays directional arrows on screen, all without having to purchase an aftermarket or integrated navigation system. Sync Services also includes business search of over 40 million businesses, a Send to Sync feature, which enables you to use a Google map or MapQuest from your home or office computer to plan a trip and then save it online to your Sync traffic directions and information account. Then when you get in the vehicle, you just say, hey, Sync, give me that map. You get turn-by-turn directions.
Give me that map.
A
Ford.
free Sync Destinations app, which is available in app stores, gives you mobile access to manage your Sync traffic directions and information systems account on the go. Ford Tech Nav Plus gives you traffic updates sent to your mobile phone via text message. It's all designed to help you keep your eyes on the wheel, your hands on the road, and keep you from getting lost. Ford Sync with My Ford Touch, available in the 2012 Ford Focus. You can learn more about this kind of technology at Ford.com/technology. We thank them for their support of Tech News Today.
Got an email from Abner. Hey, TNT crew. What phones do you use, and what are your top 3 apps?
Shall I start? I have an iPhone, and I have a lot of people say, well, why don't you like Android? And it's not that at all. I have an iPhone because I enjoy the ecosystem. Phone works well since I moved to Verizon anyway. And my top 3 apps, Twitter. I'm actually not going to say Twitter because that's almost almost like throwaway because it's an easy one. Yelp. I love the Yelp app. With all the geolocated, give you suggestion type of apps out there, I still go to Yelp more than any other, at least restaurant review type of app. Second app that I love is Pandora. I listen to Pandora all the time, and listening to it mobile is absolutely a dream, and I don't have to think about what I want to listen to because it's kind of like radio. And then the third app, the third app that's like my absolute
There is
favorite
no
app.
third app.
Oh, I know what it is. It's Instagram.
Oh,
It's Instagram.
okay.
I love Instagram.
Yeah. You're a pro at Instagram.
Really into photos, like looking at other people's photos that are really talented. So those are my 3. That's, of course, iOS.
I use an iPhone 4, not a 4S, good old-fashioned 4, unlocked. And my top 3 apps, I guess, based on usage, are phone, mail, are Audible, Vampires Live, this little stupid game that I've been playing for like 3 or 4 years, and I guess either Twitter or Foursquare would be the next thing. You know what? I'm going to forget that. I'm going to say BBC News because I use that to live stream BBC Radio in the car a lot.
Oh, cool.
I use my phone the most in the car, to be honest.
I don't have a phone per se. I have a MiFi.
I know. A lot of people don't realize
Touch.
that. Yeah.
That's what I use to make calls and things. So you think I'll use Skype to make calls, but I don't often. I usually text via Google Voice. That's really important to me. So when that crashed with iOS 5, I was not happy about that. Usually I have Evernote. That's one of my favorites because I forget everything. And I like taking pictures of lots of things and keeping notes. And Kindle. I end up reading on this thing way more often than I expect to. If I'm waiting in a line somewhere, I'm always like, oh, what's in this chapter? And I move along there.
Folks swear by the smaller form factor for reading stuff on the Kindle app. It doesn't work for me, but you're one of many people who prefer it even to an iPad.
It just seems like you're not reading a whole lot. Like, oh, I'm just going to kind of get into this for the 5 minutes, and then you end up losing half an hour.
Yeah.
How about you, Jason?
Well, right now, the phone that I've been using is the HTC Rime. Yes, the lady phone. I actually like it a lot.
That's a developer, like a review unit, right?
Yeah, more or less it's a review unit. He gave it to us, but we're going to give it away on the show on All About Android. 3 favorite apps have to be Pulse. Pulse is just amazing for reading news feeds. I use it all the time, and I'm constantly checking it. Google Music, I've talked about it on TNT. I love it, and I use it almost daily. And then the third one, it's hard to pick, but I would probably also say Audible, just because I love audiobooks, and it's just a fantastically designed app for that.
Got an email from Tim J. Says, I've heard the story from Tom on another podcast about some of the reasons he left CNET. He says that other network and came to TWiT. But I'd love to hear the stories from Jason, Iyaz, and Sarah about how they wound up as a permanent part of the TNT crew.
Well, I started at I was working at TWiT kind of on a contract basis for a while, but I started at TWiT actually the same day that Tom did. So full-time, year and a half or so ago. And at the time, TNT was, it was just an idea. Hadn't even started yet. And we decided I'd be on Mondays and Fridays and kind of thought, well, we'll see how it all works out because I hadn't been doing daily news in a live setting for a while. I mean, really almost since the Screensavers days. And even then, it wasn't the same format as this. I mean, this requires a lot of dedication and reading and just keeping up on everything. And as time went on, it just turned into something that was a good fit. And Becky Worley was, at the time, she was doing sort of 3 days and I was doing 2. And her schedule got more busier and there was more of a need to fill. And we decided that I would fill it. And I'm very happy to be here.
Go ahead.
Okay, I got here on a random meetup at CES.
Our CEO was drunk.
And I was offered a job. So I was offered a job, and I took it. That was pretty much it took a couple months.
We knew Becky was stepping away, and we needed somebody else to fill in. And Sarah was nice enough to agree to go daily, but we're like, we need somebody else to help with the lineup. And I was talking to Lisa Kensel, our CEO at CES, and she's like, well, who out there could do the job? I'm like, nobody who's available. I said, Iyaz Akhtar would be the perfect type of guy, but he just got a job at PC Mag.
Yeah,
and so when she sees him in the bar, like an hour later, she's like, hey, you want a job?
She goes, is this the guy? Is this the guy? And Tom's like, that's the guy. I'm like, okay, what are they talking about? Because
I had no idea.
we have a lot of dumb stories, but so that's how I got here.
How about you, Jason?
Well, I worked at CNET along with Tom I was at CNET for about 5 years and producing Buzz Out Loud with Tom. Tom ended up getting a job at TWiT, and actually when Tom was my boss, when Tom first hired me, he even said, hey, you want to get into podcasting? You can ride the wave, see where it goes. No one really knows what's going to happen.
Someday you might be VP of podcasting.
Totally. And I was like, all right,
I
sure.
said that, I think.
But he came over to TWiT, and eventually I kind of got that call out of nowhere from TWiT. Apparently, you were looking, and TWiT was looking to bring me over to help produce TNT, and I'm happy that you did. I love it here.
All right, I think we're about out of time, but lightning round. John X wanted to know if there were some ringtones of show theme music and opening dialogue. There's the music you can get off our wiki, right?
Yeah, you can go to wiki.twit.tv and find Tech News Today, and the music is there.
But I don't know about opening dialogue. You're going to have to make that yourself,
Yeah.
I have a feeling. And then Aaron wanted to know if someone could take a high-resolution picture of the bricks that you could zoom in on and be able to read each brick. A lot of people have suggested this. John, is somebody doing that? Is it done?
It'll be done with the Gigapan once the final shipment is in, because
okay.
all the
We
bricks
still
are
have
not
more
here.
bricks to
There's
put
still
there.
more
So we're
bricks.
waiting
Once
until the
that's
end.
done, there's going to be a giant image that you can look at.
All right. That's it for this episode of Tech News Today. Enjoy your turkey if you're in the United States. Enjoy your work day if you're elsewhere in the world. We apologize for not being in for a regular show.
But you know what? You should get some turkey, too.
Submit your favorite moments of Tech News Today or any show on Twit at twit.tv/bestof. You got some time this evening. Go look up some of your best moments. Put them in. twit.tv/bestof. You can find us on the web, twit.tv/TNT. Email us tnt@twit.tv or give us a call. Leave us a message, 260-TNT show. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.
Gobble, gobble.